Hello everyone, this is Tamer Bloba coming at you with another video. This time, we're going to be looking at the Necromacers gift Q&A, and just in case you missed it, we're going to be going over it. So, get things started. This here's the dev. He's going to be telling us answering many juicy questions. I was part of this Q&A, so I have read over it before, but it's been a couple of days since I read over it, so I apologize for any stumbling over words that you might hear. Shamelessly stolen from another Q&A, Anatons, which is something a game I do recommend. You can look them up on YouTube and Discord. They're a really cool game and predicted by me. Free to play, monetization, or ads? No, no, and no. That's great. I prefer games to be not free to play. I prefer games to not have monetizations, and I prefer games to not have ads. So all of those things are good for me. The reason I prefer them not to be free to play is because I would rather just pay for a finished product of a game than have it sold out piecemeal. So I really am happy to see that. I wasn't expecting it to be free to play, but happy to be confirmed. How many starters? 3. 1 for each affinity: water, fire, and wind. It's way rare that we see something like a wind type starter or something similar to wind. Will some designs be changed before release? Probably a little bit to have some smooth idle animations. What is the Necromancer's gift? The friends you made along the way to you. Not really. An actual item that you can use. That's all he's going to say for now. When did you start developing the game? Around 6 months ago, seriously. The battle system's a little bit older than that. How will we tame creatures? Yes, just joking. Ask me about it, now it's time. Shinies. Yes, different name though. Single player, multiplayer, co-op, MMO. Yes, no, no. It would be kind of cool to see co-op in more of these games, but I'm happy it's going to have single player and be multiplayer. I don't really like MMOs. I like the concept of them, but it's hard to find a really good MMO in my opinion. So glad that it's not going to be an MMO, I guess. Will there be breeding size? Honestly, I don't know. Not for now, but maybe. Probably to get specific moves from both parents. I mean, breeding can be cool. Look at what Monster Crown has done. I really don't like breeding in Pokemon and Tim, but Monster Crown handled it amazingly. I'm somebody who really doesn't like it in most of these type of games. So for Monster Crown to make a breeding system that I actually enjoy, that is pretty significant to me. So if he does breeding, I have faith in him that he's gonna make it good. Will there be IVs and EVs? No IVs. I originally said no EVs, but something similar would be available to help players customize their creature stats. I hate IVs and I hate EVs. That's one of the most hated things I had about breeding, was trying to get the perfect Tim, for example. And Tim, I literally despise that. So I'm glad that that is not going to be in the game. And we've had conversations elsewhere in the Discord about what he can do to help you customize your stats. And we bounced around a lot of ideas. I'm not sure if he's going to use any of them or not, but a few of them. Or maybe you could get items or something like that you could equip that would change your stats or something like that. But I don't want to talk about it too much because we don't know. Kickstarter. No. There is no Kickstarter out right now. It is funded out of his personal funds. I believe he said that there is a small chance that there will maybe be something like a Kickstarter, but don't quote me on that. Yeah, so Will Ed appear in the game. He's referencing Jim the Red for those of you who didn't know. I highly recommend you check him out if you haven't already. He will appear in the game. Giant foreheads, yes, somehow. What games would you say are the main inspiration behind Necromancer's gift? Pokemon, Nuzlocke, and Slade Spire. Never did a Nuzlocke run on Pokemon, but I love Slade Spire. Here's the budget I was talking about. Budget. $5,000 US, all included, besides my own personal expenses. I have no debt and access to relatively large lines of credit at a low interest that I could use if absolutely necessary here in Canada. He is in Canada and developing the game in Canada, in case you were curious. Okay, those are probably some of the questions you had. Let's talk about the rules. Only ask questions here and head over to Q&A discussion to discuss the answers. It's going to be a relatively small game. If everything goes bad, maybe it'll even be released for you to be memed forever. I just hope it's an interesting journey, and I'd like you to be a part of it. I am hoping that you actually get to release the full game, and I would be happy to pay for it. And he has a Patreon, doesn't advertise it or anything like that, so it was a little bit hard for me to find. I didn't even know it existed until I saw one of the members of the community talking about it. But I'll probably link that down in the description below, as well as the link to the Discord. I highly recommend that you guys give this game a look and consider supporting it. I know once I am able to get some extra money, I will be supporting it on Patreon as well. Do you have anything you tell us about the story? Yes, it's a relatively simple story, the opposite of Kingdom Hearts, if you want. The story is a series of monologues by the main character as they discover the weird world filled with creatures inside the lair, and by the Necromancer who gets to meet your dog. And since they are so lonely, they start explaining how the old world worked to it. It obviously accumulates in a battle with the Necromancer, but that's not about saving the kingdom or a world or anything like that. It's just you trying to rescue your dog. I mean, I do love story and lore. It's some of my favorite parts of the game, but just like a game with literally no combat and nothing but lore can be fun, a game with nothing but combat and very minimal lore can also be very fun, so I'm not worried about that part of it. Not every game has to have like a 10 out of 10 story to be a fun game. So, let's get down to business. How will we obtain Mons? We'll come back to that in a minute. Obtaining Mons is easy. You just catch them with a capturing box. There are a few different capturing boxes. Most of them use affinity types as conditions. Example, capture anything, capture creatures that have an affinity not present in your party, ice creatures only, etc. The interesting bit is, capturing boxes are rare and can be exchanged for a variety of other items. Then this question is, how many creatures can you have in a party? Max party number is 5, but it can be less than that. It's customizable before your game starts. What happens if all your creatures in your party die? Your run ends. You get a little bit of story and then a game over. How would you come up with the element system instead of using the usual fire, grass, water? The 6 affinity types simply fit the story in a more natural way. It'll be explained by the Necromancer to the dog, but the gist of it is I need something more based on ancient legends and mythology, and grass didn't fit that theme. What breed is the protagonist's dog? A mutt. I just gotta say that about this whole thing, like, this whole story is basically about your character losing their dog and trying to find them, and it's awesome that the lore is being told by the Necromancer to your dog. That is just, that's golden. Will you be able to choose the protagonist's gender or customize him? Yep, for sure. On the other hand, for marketing related stuff and so on and so forth, there'll be a relatively old white man with a gray beard. I budgeted for exactly one other protagonist, a relatively old lady with gray hair. But as more people ask for it, I'll try to fit as many choices as I can. In terms of hats, accessories, etc., I haven't decided yet. Hopefully there's a bit of budget left over for that. I sure hope so, at least. Same applies to the dog. Depends on how much leftover budget I have. Would you let Gym Leader Ed stream or just make walkthrough videos of himself playing Necromancers? Yeah, for sure. Any day, every day, anytime. So can Bloba. I'll put no weird restrictions for content creators or make copyright claims. Thank you for the mentioning there. It's still weird to see people mention me. I'm still a relatively small channel, but it's like people are starting to mention me more and more, and I'm like, wow, this is actually going pretty well. So thank you all for watching and subscribing and commenting, all this stuff. It really means a lot to me. The channel is doing better than I could ever hoped. But we're going to continue on. How is it to develop a game as 25 hamsters? Just a little meme. Oh, I didn't react to this yet. Just a little meme here in Discord is that the dev is actually 25 hamsters in a trench coat. Tiresome, but our AI friends help a lot. Alright. Here is a big old list of questions. Will there be gyms equivalents, mini-boss fights? Will there be rare monsters that would be considered rare shinies that will spice things up? Is there a day-night cycle? What's the max level of monsters? In the future, will new content be released in the form either as updates or DLC? What's the estimated game time to reach end-game when played normally? Will there be player titles? Example, titles that regenerated and were granted to players who reach end-game survive another 1,000 game time. Aside from ranked. Are there any plans for official tourneys? Will have equivalent of Pokemon's abilities in this game? Do you plan on creating more monsters, or is the final count sticking to 100 plus? Alright, here we go. Whoa, indeed. Yes, there will be floor leaders. Here are some examples of them. Shinies are confirmed. No day-night cycle, but that sounds perfect for the first expansion. Level 100, but there's a way for you to go over the cap. It doesn't apply multiplayer. Yes, I said DLC, sizable expansions like StarCraft, Brood War. Wow, I mean, I really loved playing StarCraft when I was little. I grew up on it basically, and adding stuff like this comparable to StarCraft Brood War in size, that is something I'm really looking forward to. Play it, I'll think about it. Not for now, but it sounds like a reasonable thing to have. Yes, official tournaments, unranked, and random battles against others are confirmed. Alright, so we're going to have a Crank Cup. Crank, if you're watching this, we already have the Crank Cup in Kindred Fates. We're going to need the Crank Cup for Necromancer's Gift now. Yes to abilities. Not fully implemented yet, TBH. I seriously doubt my budget would let me add more creatures, but I'm not opposed to it. Are all the creatures for the game planned, or are there some concepts that yet to be designed? I have a very important question. Will you have a mother? This is answering this question. Maybe. Short Kickstarter for more creatures, animation, and character customizations. I'll think about it. Please do it. I would donate. I don't know. I can't say how much I'd donate, depending on how my situation is at the time, but I will donate some amount of money if you start a Kickstarter. I'm very excited for this and really think that this is going to go well. And the answer about the mother size. Answering that question actually reveals a minor spoiler. That's kind of interesting, that whether or not you have a mother is a minor spoiler. Will you be able to choose one creature in your party to be your buddy, able to mount it, fly, swim, etc.? No. Or more precisely, since there's no overworld big map, you wouldn't be able to mount, fly, swim anywhere, and that's a big decision that cannot be changed due to budget concerns. I do think this needs clarification. As it is, the budget for this game is much, much smaller than similar games. I'll try to price it a little bit lower than what I'd estimated. But it is very, very important for me to have a small scope in order not to go over budget. You'd be shocked at the amount of debt that the devs of some very popular games in this genre have, and for good reason. I completely understand what he's saying. Making a game is not cheap. I've actually made a game using RPG Maker before. I know it's not like a super in-depth thing or anything, but it took me like 500 hours and like $300 or something like that just to make like a 12-hour game with RPG Maker. So I completely understand that this is like ridiculous. Like, these things can cost a lot of money and get out of hand very quickly. You'd be shocked at the amount of debt that some... Oh yeah, I already read that. In Pokemon Rare, different colored creatures are called shinies. In Kindred Fates, they're named Phantoms. In Exomon, Cosmic. How would you name your shinies? Not a good one name, so maybe another contest. My idea was to call them Intis, sun, and I don't even know how to pronounce that word. I'm sorry. Now, a quick note about the naming contest thing. We have a naming contest going on right now. You can vote on an old one. You can still submit names for a fishy boy. And every 2 days, we submit a new creature that you can give your names for. So, be ready for that, guys. You said... This is a question for myself. It's kind of weird reading my own question. You said that Slay the Spire is one of the games that inspired you. Can you go into more detail about what exactly inspired you? And then also, Marlon, an awesome person, by the way. Everybody in here is awesome. Like, literally joined this Discord. This is like some of the nicest people I've ever seen. There's Bloba, Marlon, Sear, like all these people are just amazing. I'm sorry if I mispronounced any of your names, by the way. So, he asked, are you going to make a public beta? And if not, is there a way to join the private beta? Yes to private beta, yes to public beta. That is nice. I do enjoy me a good old public beta. If you have weekly notifications, daily notifications, there's no way for you to miss the sign-up period. And this is answering that question? Wait. I thought you already answered that question. Anyways, not all creatures are planned. In fact, a lot of them are missing. A ton of Concepts are missing. Alright, answering Bloba's question about Slay Spire takes some time. Thank you for typing out that major response that we'll get to very shortly. If you're watching this, I do appreciate how dedicated you were to this Q&A. And I'm sorry for asking you like big questions like that. Alright, next up. Will all the creatures be evenly distributed for each type, or will there be certain creature elements that will be harder to find / get or less? In terms of types, there may be some slight differences, but nothing in Pokemon where some dual types are incredibly rare. Here's the latest Spire one. Synergies. The feeling I got from making combinations is something I want to replicate. Nothing should be OP in isolation. Creatures should complement one another. Using statistical analysis as much as possible, trying not to make the game perfectly balanced from the absolute beginning. The map progression is basically the same as Slay the Spire to reduce costs because I really, really like it. It's simple, gets to the point, and doesn't overstay its welcome. The player should be able to make different types of teams and feel free to experiment a lot. I've always wanted to make a Pokemon like, but I've absolutely no idea how to fit it into a small budget. Playing Slay the Spire allowed me to see and distill the parts of Pokemon that I love the most and make sure that I can create something potentially new that wouldn't take a big team to make. You said that the map progression is basically the same as Slay the Spire. So does that mean that the game will have some roguelike elements to it as well? Oh wow, I'm a big dummy. Yes, for sure. More roguelite than roguelike. Some people are very defensive with the terms roguelike. But then again, the same sort of applies to creature collection games in Pokemon OL. Will there be snails in some way, shape, or form? Snails are confirmed. What engine will you be using for the game? Once you talk, I have no idea what literally any of this means, but you guys can just take a good look at that if you have any idea what any of this is. And that will move on to the next one that I actually understand. Will players feel inclined to keep playing the game after the story ends? Playable content after end game, or you need to remake as a new game file? Will you ever have a Kickstarter or something similar? There was a question earlier in the week, but in ranked matches, your creatures die, so for ranked online PvP, you need to play the game again. The game has 2 endings. The first one should be fairly easy to get, but the second one, a dog ending, will take many attempts. So basically, the game is supposed to have high replayability. Even after getting the proper ending, you should want to play to get different team competition, etc. And yes, I did notice this before when I asked it answered above, and more details in the discussion. Short answers: has a tiny budget of 5,000 funded by savings. More memes for the hamsters. Will you, the 25 hamsters, appear as a secret boss on a scale from 0 to 10? How sexy are Sierra, Bisloba, and Bloba? And I'm sorry for this question, but I couldn't stop myself. How much could we, the people in Discord, affect the game? Will there be more ways to financially support you besides Patreon? How close are you to a demo? And will there be a special way to capture Mons? Will the game be published? And what is your favorite pizza topping? I hope there's not too many questions. Final note, post-game content, if you do not want to do PvP online as possible, but not focus for now, something tells me that people really want this, so I'm leveling this as a note to seriously consider it. Yes, I do highly recommend you have some in-game content that is not PvP, because that not everyone enjoys that competitive nature of PvP. So you had some PvE end-game content. I do think that it would greatly encourage people to continue playing the game. Maybe something like Slay the Spire that lets you, whenever you finish a run, you unlock new monsters or new items for your monsters, something like that. Alright, so here's all these questions. We're going to be reading the responses to those. It was not planned, but people want 25 hamsters as a secret boss, we give them 25 hamsters secret boss confirmed. I hope he actually does that. That would be amazing. You are affected and will affect the game a lot, not only in terms of naming contests, but also cool things like secret bosses. Also wanted to add pizza toppings to the game too. I think I can find a way for people to support the game, things to benefit everyone, like donations to include fruits or wacky items or things like that in the game. The game will be published on Steam, later on iOS Store, GOG, or other places are possible, so long as at least a handful of people tell me they need it there. It would, however, be possible some features would not be included for the stores. How close to a demo? I'll make an update as soon as I'll make an update, but not as close as I wanted. As a compromise, I think a battle alpha will be coming very soon. I'll put an update and weekly update soon enough. Also soon, trademark. As a special way to capture mons, as said above, but I think less in terms of capturing is hard, but more in terms of having something to do with certain things in the game that increases chances certain creatures appearing in the first place. I'm open to wacky ideas from like this. Carrying a monster equipped with pizza, pineapples makes it impossible to capture ice affinity creatures, etc. What is your favorite pizza topping? Answered elsewhere, but sausage finish. On sexiness, we are 25 hamsters, so we can only comment on the sexiness of other hamsters. But you look like great humans, so 10 out of 10 for all of you, so long as you give us sesame seeds. Are there creatures that can be dual types? Confirmed elsewhere, but 100% yes, already in the game. I mean, it's for legendaries. 25 hamsters is not legendary enough for you? Probably yes, but warning, no art designs in this one, so I cannot be 100% sure. Wait, I take that back. Yes, at least 2 confirmed legendaries. Here they are. What do you feel will stand out the most, or be the most unique about the game compared to other Tamer games? And also, what is your favorite bond? The story, art, direction, gameplay, and overall themes combined should be unique. More personally, however, my answer is that the uniqueness is not the type of thing that one can artificially make or plan for. It organically arises sometimes. My favorite mon is not yet to be revealed. My favorite so far is the final evolutions of the snakes shown today, mostly because it's a creature that I use the most for testing new stuff. And thanks everyone for your questions in the first Q&A. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this video and our discussions about the Q&A. I highly recommend you come join. The links to the Discord will be in the description below. And I really hope you would consider joining in here, taking part in some of these awesome contests. And I will see you all next time. This has been Bloba signing off, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.